Hey everyone, Josh here, and yes, I'm back, and I'm going to bring you only the very best. More of the same insane, out-of-the-ordinary stuff that you've come to expect from moi. So today, we're off to a great start. I'm going to sit down and chat with up-and-coming pop diva Elizaveta. I will take you inside the House of Field and talk to head designer David Dalrymple all about his new designs and what it's like to partner with the iconic Pat Field. But first, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to sit down with one of my idols, Bob Mould. Now, if you're gay and you don't know who he is, shame on you. He was part of the historic punk band Husker Du and also the band Sugar, and now he runs one of the greatest dance parties in the country called Blow Off. So here's me with the legend, Bob Mould. Check it out. Hey everyone, I'm here at the Breslin restaurant at the Ace Hotel in New York City with someone that I consider an absolute music legend, someone we've been so excited to talk to for months. He was part of the band Husker Du as well as a band called Sugar and runs one of the coolest traveling parties in the country called Blow Off. I am talking about none other than Bob Mould. Thank you so much for being with us.
Josh, thanks. This is fun.
Let's start with the band. I mean, Husker Du, like you came from Minneapolis. What was that like? Did you think you were going to be this like music sensation?
Well, I had no idea. I mean, I was born and raised in northern New York State, very, very small farm town, and when I was 17, I went to the Twin Cities to go to college. And within 6 months of being there, started this group, Husker Du, that went on to make 8 records over 8 years and become sort of a, sort of a lasting kind of, band, I guess. People still talk about it to this day. No, I had no idea whatsoever. I had no plan. I just wanted to get away from the farm town I grew up in.
And when you were growing up, like, were you particularly musical, or was this something that sort of came on later? Or?
Yeah, I learned to play. I was self-taught. I learned to play piano. My grandmother used to. She used to be a caretaker for this woman that got struck by lightning. In the house was like this baby grand piano. So when I was a kid, I would put on the radio, 5, 6 years old, and sit and play the piano along with the radio. So I sort of taught myself how to play music. When I was 9, I started writing songs, and so I guess that was what I was supposed to be doing.
Where was the punk influence? Where did that come from?
Well, when I was living in the farm town, I used to get these this magazine that came out of New York City called Rock Scene magazine.
Oh yeah.
They always used to talk about like Kiss and Aerosmith and Ted Nugent, but then they would also talk about Blondie and Television and the Ramones. So I'm this 15-year-old kid, and I'm seeing these pictures, and then I get the Ramones album for my 16th birthday, and say, oh, this is much easier than trying to be in Kiss. So it seemed very doable. So that was that's where I really got on board with it.
I always wondered, you look at the music industry and sort of from the outside, and growing up gay, I was always wondering, like, hey, would there be a place for like an openly gay, sort of rock star? And I mean, I'm not exactly sure where in the process you feel like you came out, or where you sort of marked that. But like, what is it like being an openly gay musician, and do we need more of them, or what's your sort of feeling on sort of homophobia? I mean, it's just
boy, that's a lot of. We got a lot of.
I know.
That's
sorry,
that's a lot of stuff.
That's my sort of stream of consciousness. But like, it all sort of has part of this conversation that I'm very curious about.
Well, I mean, I personally was never comfortable in my own skin until maybe a few years ago. I mean, as a gay man. I mean, I think we all have different journeys as the LGBT community. You ask anyone, sometimes kids come out when they're 15 and they fully embrace who they are and they just keep moving forward, and that's magnificent. There's people like me who, my sexuality was an open secret in the music business until 1994. I was 33 years old. Spin magazine sort of came to me and it was like, you're coming out the easy way or the hard way. So I sort of tried the easy way, and it was still awkward. And even then, I didn't feel comfortable as a gay person at all. So, not until 99, I was 38 years old living here, and finally got off of the road and spent time in the West Village and Chelsea, and sort of, the difference to me between being gay and having a gay identity is enormous. Anybody can be gay, in the physical sense, how we define the term, but to have an identity takes a lot of work. And now it's like, oh my God, there's not enough room in the closet. Everybody's busting out, and everybody, it's just not even an issue anymore. I'm lucky that I've got a big body of work that was there before I started to form my gay identity. So I think my audience is You know, they're very, very tolerant of me. They have to be. They don't have any choice. I'm in their record collection.
Well, one of the things I didn't really touch on in my introduction was that you wrote a book called See a Little Light.
Yes.
And what made you decide, hey, now is the time. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write my story.
I had been approached about 10 years ago to do this. There's a fellow in New York City, his name's Michael Azarad. He wrote a book called Our Band Could Be Your Life. And it was about the American underground music scene in the 80s, and Husker Du was one of the bands he focused on. And in 2001, when that book came out, the three of us sat down and they said, do you want to write your life story? I said, not yet. I think it's going to get more interesting. Moving up to early '08, we revisited the idea and I started working with Michael Azarad, and 2.5 years later, we're done with this book. It was a long, long process. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm a pretty good writer, so I mean, so it wasn't impossible for me. So.
Well, what about the emotional part of it? Of like, okay, well, like the writing part, one thing, but all right, I gotta put this on and commit this, not just to an email to a friend.
Yes.
Like this is potentially going to be read by millions of people.
Yes, that was the hard part. I had a rough childhood. I mean, I personally didn't have a rough childhood, but there was a lot of alcoholism, violence, stuff in the house. So, it's hard to talk about that because both my parents are still alive. So, it's like I have to measure how much of that, to share. But I lost a lot of sleep over it. Over a couple of years, I was like, oh man, do I really want to stooge this off, so to speak?
Well, the other thing I want to talk about before we let you have your lunch is this phenomenal dance party called Blow Up.
Well, what happened is I moved to DC in the spring of 2002, summer of 2002. Didn't know anybody there except for one fellow, a guy named Rich Morell. He and I started working on music together. And in January of '03, we threw this party called Blow Off. And the idea was, I didn't know anyone in town, so I'd print up these little business cards as flyers and hand them out to guys in the neighborhood and say, oh, come to this party, it's free. And, like 30 people showed up. And the next month, 40 people showed up, and then 100, and then, it kept going. But the thrust of it is 5 times a year in Manhattan, 5 times a year in San Francisco, 6 times a year in DC, Provincetown during Bear Week, Chicago for IML and Bear Pride. We went to Dallas to do a bear event that was enormous. So, but it's it's a party where it's a gay disco. Guys come and just take their shirts off and drink beer and dance. I don't get the sense there's a lot of club drugs,
right.
So it's mostly pot and
fun
beer and yeah.
And I have one last question, which I ask all music people that come on my show. If you had, dead or alive, to choose one person to sing a duet with, who would it be?
Oh my gosh! Well, Patsy Cline. I don't know.
Okay, you don't have to narrow it to one.
There's a lot of people. I've got this this event coming up in Los Angeles at Disney Hall, where people are coming in and paying tribute to my songbook.
Amazing.
So there's a lot of amazing people that are coming in and doing that. Ryan Adams is coming in. Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie. Craig Finn and Tad from the Hold Steady. A couple new bands, No Age and Best Coast, 2 sort of punky bands from LA. And a fellow who I've been doing a ton of stuff with lately, who's been very, very gracious this year, a fellow named Dave Grohl, who's in a group called the Foo Fighters. Dave and I got to be friends about 1.5 years ago, and he's been very, very gracious. They're sort of the biggest rock band in the world right now. And he had me come in and play and sing on a song of theirs, which was very, very nice of him to do. He's self-admittedly very influenced by a lot of my work. So, he's the biggest guy in rock right now, so it's very, very nice. So there's a good list of people that,
Amazing.
I've been singing a lot with Dave. We really cut it up on stage, be in Madison Square Garden in a spell, and, been doing these arenas together.
Amazing.
It's been really fun. Yeah, Ryan and Dave and Ben, and those are people that I've done stuff with before and I'm doing stuff with for this tribute show, so that's a good list.
I cannot tell you how thrilled and honored, not just me, but our entire crew, our company, have been to have you and have you on our network. We're so honored.
Thanks,
and
really
it's been a pleasure. And you can get the book, I'm assuming, on Amazon or anywhere, right?
Anywhere, Amazon, Kindle, iBooks, everywhere.
Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you tonight.
You. All right, take care.
Oh my God, I have such a crush on Bob Mould. I love him. Anyway, next up, we go inside the House of Field. Best known for its hip, stylish clothes, as well as the iconic redhead that runs it, Pat Field. We go to their showroom and talk to the head designer, David Dalrymple, all about what it's like to be on the cutting edge of the fashion industry and get a real insider's look at what's going on inside the House of Field. So take a look. So today, it is my great pleasure to be sitting with, in my opinion, one of the best designers working in the fashion industry today. He has designed clothes for or styled such superstar celebrities as Britney Spears, Lil' Kim, and he's also made the super sexy costumes for the New York Knicks City Dancers. He's been the head of the House of Field since 1993, and with his collaborating partner, Patricia Field, he's worked on such films and television shows as Sex and the City, Devil Wears Prada, and Ugly Betty. So it is my great pleasure to introduce my dear, dear friend, David Dalrymple. Thanks so much. I know it's crazy busy for you, so thank you for making time for us to come and chat for a minute.
A pleasure.
How did you, start in the fashion world and then hook up with Pat Field?
When I left school, I went to FIT. I wasn't drawn into like assisting in a cubicle and, you know, at one of the big design houses. So I, started making clothes in my apartment, and I was, of course, out at night. I was working in clubs. I was go-go dancing and meeting people like, RuPaul and Lady Bunny, and I began dressing them. And then she approached me one night at the Boy Bar, actually, after a show that I did with Nisham. She came over and she said, "Oh, I've got to have your things in the store." And I said, "You already do." She gave me a big kiss. She stuck her nose in my cheek, and it was like it was a done deal.
Like you said, you didn't really want to go this sort of more traditional route through fashion, but did you have any idea that this alternative route was there as well?
I just thought, this is where, these are my people. This is where I fit, and this is like, oh, I want to have my things there. I like things there. I want to have my things there. When I was officially, hired by her to come up here, it was Bunny who actually said, this is your, entree into the fashion world. And I was like, what? Like, because she says some, colorful things sometimes. But, I guess she was right. She was right.
Pat Fields was so iconic, particularly in New York City with her store on 8th Street and stuff, and your clothes in the store, and just her style and your style sort of mixed together. But then it sort of like exploded sort of in the 90s with the Sex and the City, and then all of a sudden she was like this international brand, and you're suddenly designing clothes that are being seen all over the world. Like, do you remember that point when it switched too?
It was difficult because it was severe growing pains because people thought that we were,
a factory.
Exactly, a monster company.
You guys do so much stuff. I mean, do you have a particular thing that you enjoy? Do you love doing the runway shows? Because you've shown in Bryant Park, obviously, and then also in alternative spaces.
I love it all. I do get that itch now and then when I don't do a show. Like I hear a song, I do this, I feel like, I want to, something, I don't know where that comes from. It's like, I want to give them that finale,
Yeah. Let's talk about like the Britney Spears issue. Now, you designed this amazing thing for her for the MTV Awards where she like almost naked, covered in crystal. I mean, you weren't even in the country when that happened.
Yeah, I had flown, I went to Europe for something, and the governor's commenting on your, I'm like, what? It was crazy to me. It seemed like, I didn't think it was like, I didn't think we were doing anything outrageous. At that point, she had one or two songs, and they did want to boost her to the next level, but we boosted her. I got to work with everybody after that.
And in terms of what you guys are doing now, can we talk about the new line of home things that you're doing?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're doing Patricia Field Home. Pat loves to get her things out to the world, and we thought it was great because people are attracted to her vision, and they can have that on their bed, and they can feel real, like, sexy and fun and happy, and
With all of these things that you're doing, is there a project on the horizon that you just are like, I've got to make time for that?
Collaborating is very important to me. I started in collaboration with Scooter LaForge, an artist and painter, and he does beautiful things on fabric, on, you know, like an army vest. The fabrics that are coming through are beautiful, and I'm really thrilled about it. Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And these are sequins,
yeah,
right?
these are sequins, and you know my love of sequins. And I've been doing them every which way, and you know, recently I had silk screened some sequins, and it was a great success. But this is going to yet another level.
That's stunning.
Yeah, it really is.
And so do you just give him the fabric and then he paints on it? And
It's been twofold. We've been trading things back and forth. Like sometimes it's an existing garment that I've made, and it goes down to his studio, and then or fabric, and now he sends me fabric, and then maybe it will go back down to him. You know, this skirt he did some distressing and some painting on, and then I'm putting a tulle layer over it, and
who wouldn't want to wear that?
A photographer that I work with in many capacities, Joe Opadesano, doing some t-shirts with him. Silk screening on the sequins, and it's like a positive, negative, you know, play on things, and it adds a bit of Vegas.
You need a museum.
That was Beyonce for the Target commercial for the release of her album that's out now, 4.
The Rockettes could use an outfit or two like this.
I would love to work with it.
I know, you really should work with the Rockettes. So what's the deal with this one?
This fabric was actually a set dressing from Ugly Betty when they shot, I think we shot at the planetarium. It was ripped off the wall because it was beautiful by my colleague Molly, and it came to me in a bag. She couldn't even believe it when it was birthed.
Well, it's amazing, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have had a chance to chat with you officially and get a chance to look at your stuff and the new stuff with Scooter, and everything is so beautiful, and congratulations, and I just love and adore you so much.
Rags to riches.
Amazing, right? And David is such a doll. Next up, we had a visit from the super cool and super stylish up-and-coming pop diva, Elisabetta. I know you're just gonna love her, so watch this. It's such a treat. Today, we are honored to have with us a unique and wonderful musician, singer, songwriter. Her first full-length album is going to be released on January 24th, and her self-titled EP is available now. And I want to welcome the wonderful and beautifully dressed Elisabetta. Welcome to my show, and thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you sitting down with us and chatting for a bit. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I was just walking by, you know, wearing on my flowers randomly.
I love it.
And I walked into the studio. I was like, oh, we could have a chat.
See, if I had known you were going to wear that, I would have worn something a little less drab. But
no, you look very well put together.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I have to tell you, the song and the video for Dreamer are stunning. I just love it, and I just want to know, where did that come from? How did you create that song and then sort of communicate that feeling to this video director?
The director's name is Sarah Renard, and she's actually originally Swedish, but she works and lives in Los Angeles now. And I think you can see some of that sensibility, you know, because it's not very glossy. Because the song is so it's so positive, you know, and there's such a lightness to it in a way, you know. So we had a bit of a difficulty, kind of. There might have been a bit of a difficulty because if you also had a very light and bright video to match it,
right,
it would have been a little bit over the top.
Right.
You know what I mean? It could be a little too much sugar, you know, so to speak. So we kind of. I'm glad that she had this vision where it was a little bit, I don't want to say darker, but there was like also a moody aspect to it, you know, so it worked with the song.
It's really stunning, and I'm hoping we can show it at the end of the show and give our viewers a little bit of a peek at how beautiful it is. I love it. And did you know always that I'm going into music no matter what? You
know, to be honest, it's kind of a funny answer. I think I always wanted to do something artistic. I think that was just kind of in me, you know. I just always wrote songs. I always played them and sang them, The whole classical singing, the opera singing bit didn't come until much later when I was in college. I wanted to do it originally because it was so easy for me. You know, that is the irony of it. You know, it's like, okay, I will do this, you know, and it's really easy for me to write a song, you know, just like so easy. So therefore, of course, I didn't know at the time that it's probably one of the hardest careers ever you could possibly choose, you know. So it was like I took the path of that seemed to be the path of least resistance, which obviously turned out to be the path of most resistance. Right. Yeah. But I'd say that probably around 11 or 12, I was already kind of moving in that direction.
And you have this new album coming out. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's called Beatrix Runs, and it's a collection of 10 songs. It was produced by Greg Wells, who's an amazing producer and a lovely, lovely person. I think in this record, I managed to bring together a lot of the things that I love, but it's still very song-oriented, you know, in the sense that there's still a common thread running through, you know, whether it's my vocal arrangements or, you know, my voice, or I think the songwriting, even though some of the styles are different. It's my little kind of magic box of musical alchemy, you know. There's also a backstory to the record. I wouldn't call it a concept record because first I wanted to stand on its own as a collection of songs, you know. There's actually a story that I wrote, and it's going to be graphic components of the story being unveiled throughout the year after the release, so people can see, you know, some of the, like where the songs fit in the story. And the story also stands on its own, you know, because it's not like exactly a soundtrack to the story, but there's this connection, and we're also working in some elements of the story, some symbolism and imagery into the packaging.
Well, I can't wait, and we get a chance to see your video, Dreamer, right here, which I absolutely love, as I said to you earlier. So thank you so much for coming in and chatting with me, and I wish you all the best. And if you're around, please come back, and we can have a whole conversation just about Queen.
Absolutely. Thank
so
you. Thank you
got
so
it.
much.
And now we're going to see her gorgeous new video, Dreamer.
I believe in fairy tales and serendipitous encounters. Catch a tiger by the tail and make a wish, drink from the fountain. Oh, 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 oh. I believe love will prevail, the path is clear for me to follow. Shooting stars will leave a trail for me to fill with joy and sorrow. Oh, 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 oh. Leave your fear of love behind. Let your dreaming be your guide. If you sink, then you shall find. Sun is setting in the west. The hope is like a big balloon and follows me and beckons me, but I am staring at the moon. Oh, 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 oh. Leave your fear of love behind. Let your dreaming be your guide. If you sink, then you shall Torn and tattered from the fall, I'm waiting to rise up again, and I can feel it in my blood. I hold the future in my hand. Torn and tattered from the fall, I'm waiting to rise up again, and I can feel it in my blood. I hold the future in my hand. Torn and tattered from the fall, I'm waiting to rise up again, and I can feel it in my blood. I hold the future in my hand. Torn and tattered from the fall, I'm waiting to rise up again. thousand serendipitous encounters. Ba, 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 ba. I believe in fairy tales and serendipitous encounters.
See, I didn't lie, did I? Stunning, no? Anyway, that's all I got for you today, but much, much, much more to come in the future, so don't forget me. A special thanks to my guest today, Elisabetta, and my dear friend David Dalrymple, and the absolutely adorable Bob Mould. And remember, I love to hear from you, so you can always write to me at justjosh@heretv.com. That's justjosh@heretv.com. And as always, thank you for watching, and make sure you tune in next time for more fun. Talk to you again soon. Hey, oh, sorry. As always,
I'm back and I'm back.
I'm back. So oh, sorry. Is it the wind? Wow, she's out of practice today. Every once in a while, things come up that like pass by me that I don't even know what to make of them. So I'm actually calling out to you, viewers, to help me solve this situation because I really don't know what the answer is. There's a new television show on ABC called Celebrity Wife Swap. Now, I saw the first episode the other day with Tracy Gold and Carney Wilson, and I actually kind of enjoyed it, I have to admit. It's like a really bad guilty pleasure. But I did see the promo for an up-and-coming episode that features Ted Haggard. I know, Ted Haggard. Now, first thing that I thought was, isn't he gay? Like, didn't he get caught literally with his pants down with some hooker in some like hotel room in like Texas or Oklahoma or something? So how could he be on a show called Wife Swap when he's gay? Unless, of course, his wife was a husband, which it isn't. And I'm a little confused about this. Is this just his way of saying, hey, look, world, I am actually straight? Because if that's the case, that's really disgusting. And I'm kind of disappointed in ABC as well for actually putting him on the show. But maybe they were just scraping the bottom of the barrel because who really, as a celebrity, wants to be on Wife Swap? Ted Haggard.